Hi guys, and welcome to this Bootstrap 4 tutorial. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. In this video today we're going to put together this one-page scrolling Bootstrap site. Now we're going to put it together really quickly. It's got our little logo at the top there, it's got a slider, it's got an about section, a little services section, team section, some pricing tables, and a little contact section at the end. Now normally I sort of code these things from scratch and do each section individually. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today, but we're going to put this site together really quickly. Now we're going to use a few cheats to do this, but it works really well. So follow along and let's build this site quickly. First thing we want to do is go to a site called startbootstrap.com, and we're going to download a basic template for a scrolling site. Usually I'd put in the scroll spy and the scrolling nav JavaScript manually, but this has got it all done for you. So go to this site. I'll put this URL down below. Just hit the free download button, and as you can see, it'll download it for you. Once it's downloaded, go ahead and put it in a folder somewhere where you're going to remember where it is, and that'll be your main website folder. This is what you're going to get, this little zip file here. Go ahead and extract the files. And once you've extracted them, you'll get a folder. You can now go ahead and delete that zip file or put it aside for further use, but we don't need it anymore on this site, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Now inside this folder you're going to find a bunch of files, and most of these we don't need, so I'm going to select all of them up to the vendor folder there. I'm going to unselect the index and the license. Just take a second to view that license and delete those files. So we're just left with this. Now today I'm going to be using a text editor called Brackets. Brackets is a free text editor and you can download it from brackets.io, and again I'll put it down below, so if you want to follow along with the same editor I'm using you can do. It's really lightweight, it's free, just install it very quickly. So once you've got Brackets installed, or whatever your text editor is, like I say, have a quick look at the license. I'm going to open mine with Brackets. It says it's as is, without warranty, it's free to use. But they do ask you to just leave this in your site, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once we've got our files here, just double click on your index and it'll open up what we've actually got. This is that template right there, which has got a lot of the features that we want already. And as you can see, if you click on the about, it'll already scroll down to the sections that you want. So let's go ahead and start editing our page here. Now in our initial site, let's just have a look. We had one section with a slider, an about, services, then a team section, then a prices section, and a contact. So we need to add a couple more sections to ours. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to add another 2 sections for the pricing and that team. So let's open this with our Brackets software. Go back to the folder. Once Brackets installed, just right click and open with Brackets, or whatever text editor you want. And here's our index file. First thing you want to do is rename your site, so just click on there and call it whatever you want to call it. I'll just call mine my new site. Okay, and moving on down, here we've got the menu. We'll deal with that in a moment. About services contact. Down again, here's that first, the header section, then our about page or about section, then our services section, then the contact section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the about section and the services section and just duplicate them. So I'm going from the top opening section tag there to the bottom closing section tag of the services there. Control C to copy. I'm just going to drop down a couple and paste it in. So now we've got duplicates. About services, about services. And this first one I'm going to change to team inside. Don't cut off those inverted commas. Let's call it TEAM. And this next one, let's just call price. ID equals price. Alright, now we want a way to get to these sections. So if I save that, Control S, if you look up here, there's a little dot. If you see that, it means you've made changes that you haven't saved with brackets. So hit Control S or go up to File and hit Save, and you'll see that disappears. You know you've saved your changes. Now if we look at our site and refresh it, we should have duplicates of the services and about. So I'll just refresh this. And now we've got another about section and another services section. Okay, what do we want to do next? Well, I guess I want to put my own logo in here, or if you haven't got a logo, you can just change that to whatever your company or site is called. So if we scroll down, if we go down here on line 26, see navbar brand. There, start Bootstrap. You can put in whatever you want to put in. Control S to save. There we go, my new site. But if you want to put a logo in there, what I'll do is I've got a logo that I think is 50 by about 200 or something. It's a PNG. I'll just pull it in. Now I'm putting it into the root folder, the same folder as we extracted all these into. Usually I'd put it in a folder itself called images, but for expediency for this video I'm just going to leave it in the root folder, which is fine. And it's just called logo, and it's a portable network graphics file, so it's a PNG file. So let's put that in instead of just this writing here. It's one of the few bits of actual coding we'll have to do on this site, but you may want to do that if you've got a logo. So where it says my new site here, I'm going to open a pointy bracket. I'm going to say IMG for image, and then SRC for source, or where the image is coming from, equals, and open some inverted commas like that. In between, it's actually already found it. If I scroll down, it's found my logo ping there, PNG, or you could just type that in. Now if you look, we've got a red bit of code there. Now anything red like that usually means you've forgotten something, and we opened the pointy bracket, and that means we've forgotten to close it, so we just need to close it right there. And just as a rule, most images when you're building sites want to have an alt tag, and that's where you can put a description of what it is, or most people more commonly put a keyword or something for their site to help their SEO. So let's see if that's worked. Now save, Control S. Like I say, I'm running through this pretty quickly. I do offer courses in this. Have a look down below this video. We got some great, there's my logo. We got some great courses down there with some huge discounts for our YouTube people. So that's the logo in place. Now we want to do something about this section here. In our original one we had a slider or a carousel. There it is. So again, we're going to do a bit of cheating to get this done very quickly, and this is an automatically revolving carousel. So thanks again to Start Bootstrap, and I'll put this link below. They got a few little snippets that you can just copy and paste the code. Now if we look down here, here's full page image slider, which is what I used. Just go ahead and click on it, and here it is. And if you scroll down and take a look at the top, we've got the HTML code, we've got the CSS code, and we've got the JavaScript. Not that there'll be any for this, because Bootstrap's got its own built-in JavaScript for slider. So all we need to do is copy the bit that we want, and we can skip all this first bit because that's their menu up there. That we don't need any of that. We just need the bit from the header, the opening tag there, to the closing header tag there. So I'm going to grab all of that. Control C to copy from the opening header tag to the closing header tag included. Back to our brackets. And if we go down here, we've got a header. There's a header, opening tag, there's a closing header tag. So I'm going to select that again from the opening to the closing. Control V to paste. There it is. There's our slider. Now let's just go back. Was there any CSS? There was a bit of CSS. Okay. So I want to save that. Control S to save. If we go back to our folder where our files are, you'll see a folder called CSS. Let's just open that up. Double click on it. Inside you're going to see a CSS file called scrolling nav. Again, right click on it, open it with brackets, or whatever your text editor you like to use is, just open it with that. Now let's go back, and here's the CSS. Now we want to copy it. Make sure you don't miss off that dot right there. From the dot all the way down to that closing curly bracket right there. Control C to copy, then go back to our brackets, to our style sheet here, paste it in, hit save, Control S. Now let's go back to our site and take a look, see what we've got. Now if I refresh now, our slider should appear here. Bingo, and there's our full page slider. Is it going to slide for us? Yep, sure is. Okay, but we've got a bit of a gap at the top there that we don't want, and that's very easy to fix. It's because we replaced the CSS and there was some style in there already. So let's go back to our brackets, and in our scrolling nav CSS file, if you look, they already had some in there for the header, and it's got some padding of 156 at the top and 100 on the side there. So we don't need any of that. Oh, actually that's on the bottom. So let's just delete that. Control S to save. Back to the site, refresh, and that gap should go, and also the gap at the bottom. There we go. So now our slider's exactly where we want it. And it's sliding great. But you might say, okay, that's great, but I kind of prefer to have that text up in the middle. Well, that's the carousel caption, and we can do that very easy just with a bit of padding on the bottom. Let's look at the HTML. You see this writing here? This is where you put in your content. So that'll be your heading and your description. Just change it. It's just like typing any other Word document. But if we look here with brackets, when you click on an opening div or divider, it'll show you the closing one. So our writing's within this one called carousel caption. So here's another little bit of code we got to do. I'm going to grab carousel caption, Control C to copy, and it's a class. It's not an ID, it's a class. So if we go to our scrolling nav CSS, and after our last bit, just going to drop down, I'm going to put a dot or a period, because classes you always put a period in front of them, or a dot. Paste in carousel caption, open and close some curly brackets, and inside there I'm going to say padding bottom, so that'll put some space on the bottom of it, and I'm going to say bring up by about 20%. So that's going to be 20% of the viewable area, or the size of the div itself, which is full screen, I think. And always add a semicolon afterwards in case you want to add some more code, because if you don't, it won't read the next line. Now we've got two little dots up there, so we've got to save that, and we've got to save this. Control S to save that one. Back to the index, Control S to save that one. We just changed a bit of text there, didn't we, to your heading and your description. So we're all saved. Let's go back to the site. Now when I refresh the first slide, if I click on the first slide thing there, that just changed to your slide or your description, whatever we said, and it should jump up by 20% padding, which should be around this area. So let's try that. There we go. So it's right up here where we want it, and your heading, your description. So like I say, just put in what you want there. Of course, you might want to put in your own images. At the moment, they're being taken from the web somewhere, Unsplash, I think it was, which is a great place, unsplash.com, for free stock photos, by the way, so check that out. Okay, so let's put in our own image. And you want to have a fairly large image. I recommend something by 1920 by 1080 is a minimum sort of thing if you're going to have a full screen image like that. Now I've got one here, so let's go back to our site, back to the root folder again, and I'm just going to pull over an image I've downloaded, and if I make that a icon so you can see it, it's just a sort of dark image with some bokeh lights in the background there. And it's called S1 and it's a JPEG. So what we need to do is get rid of image URL, because it's taking it from the web. If you find one on Unsplash that you like, you can just link to it this way, but we'll put one locally on our site in our root folder there, and it was just called S1, wasn't it? So if I just type in S, it'll probably find it. There it is, s1.jpg. Control S to save, back to the site. Now when I refresh, that should change to that dark background. There we go, with those bokeh lights and what have you. Great, well that's our little slider done. You can edit the rest of the slides to your heart's content. Now about the about section. What do we want to do here? Well, I'd like to see that central. Don't need that list. I'd like to see this bit a little bit wider, sort of a little bit skinny in there. But I'm going to recycle this list into our services section over here. So we'll have services on the left hand side and that little list on the right hand side to represent the services. So let's do that quickly. Back to our brackets. Move on down from our slider here. Here's our about section. And if you look at it, it's a row and it's a column large 8. Bootstrap, the area which stretches from about here to here, unless it's boxed, is made up of 12 sections. This is 8. And if we look back, it's got MX Auto, so it's got a margin either side of automatically, which basically is going to center it. So if I make that M large 12, it should stretch it a lot wider. You can do 10, you can do 4, you can do whatever you want. But the bigger number you do there, the wider it's going to appear on your screen. So let's just save that and see what it's done. Should have stretched that out a little bit. Yep, that's a lot wider. That's more what I want. But I want this all in the middle, and I don't want that in the middle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to paste it temporarily into this section till we get there. So let's go back. Here's that list. And like I say, if you click on an opening tag, brackets will show you the closing one. So I'm just going to grab from the opening tag to the end of the closing one. Control X to cut. And I'm going to go, here's the services section, here's the paragraph text. Just going to drop it after the paragraph text. I'm not going to line it up or anything. I'm just going to leave it there for the minute, out of our way. Now this text is fine, but I want it to be a little bit, well, I want it to be centered for a start. So to center everything, where it says column large 12 MX Auto, I'm going to just write text center, which is a Bootstrap class that'll center all of our text on there, which is great. And I also need a bit more text there, so I'm going to go to a dummy text site called lipsum.com. It's called Lorem Ipsum. The site's called lipsum.com. I'll put this below as well. I'm just going to grab a bit of dummy text and put it in there. Of course, you've probably got some proper text you want to put in there, so you don't need to do this. Okay, and it was the about section. I'll just paste that dummy text in there. Control S to save. Back to the site. Now when I refresh, this should be all centralized. That should have gone, and we'll have more text there. There we go. That's kind of what I had in mind. That's fine. Let's move down onto this section, and as you can see, there's that little list that we put in there. But how about on this section, if we have the services we offer on the left hand side and the little list even on the right hand side. Let's do that. Okay, so here we are at the services section, and you'll notice we've got a row. Now that means, if you remember just now, I said the width is always made up of 12. So if we've got a row, we can have a column large 8 and another column beside it of 4, because 8 and 4 is 12. But in our case, I'm going to have a column of 6. So I'm going to make this one 6. So we'll have one column of 6, which is basically half the screen, and another column of 6 with our list in it. Now to do that, I need to put this list into another column. So I'm just going to copy this. And what I need to do, if you click on something here, it's got a closing tag. So I need to close this one before I open a new one. So let's go to where we want to close it, which is right there after the P, or the paragraph text right there. Just go back a little bit. Pointy bracket / div. That'll close it out. As you see, we got some red code because we've got a closing tag but no opening tag. Okay, so now I said we copy this, and underneath that closing tag that we just written, paste that in there. Red code's gone. So now we've got one column of 6 with our text and title in it, and another column of 6 with our list items in there. And like everything else, you just type in what you want. In fact, let's make that list a bit bigger. I'll just copy these two, drop down one, and add them on the end there. And to tidy it up, just backspace, Control S. Let's go back to our site and see what we've got. There we go, we've got two little columns there. One with the services, the title, and some text, and then our little list on the right hand side. Okay, that's fine. Now this next section, we don't want another about section. I think we're going to have that as the team section. So let's go back to our brackets and see what we need to do. There's our services section with our little list in there. Yeah, team section we decided, wasn't it? So again, we're going to go back to Start Bootstrap and steal a bit of code. This time, let's go down to this one, a team section. And here we are. Let's grab the HTML, exactly the same as we did before. Now again, we don't need their header. We just need the page content. And we've got a container. Starts with a container. And it ends with closing that container. So we'll grab everything from the bottom there where it says container all the way up to where that container starts, page content. Control C to copy. Back to our brackets. Now it started with a container, remember that. Here's our team. We've already got a container here, so we'll just click on that. It'll show us the container closed there. So if we select everything and hit paste, Control V, that's now in there. Let's see, was there some CSS? Let's go back and have a look. Nope, no CSS, so it's simply the HTML. So now if we go save, Control S to save, back to the site, and refresh. There we go, we've instantly got our team section in there. But what would be kind of nice would be to have a little title like this in there. And of course you say, well, I don't know these people, they're not my team. You want to put your own pictures in there and names and what have you, so we'll do that too. Let's go back to brackets. Go back down to where we were. Let's put a title in there. Let's just do a bit of thievery again and steal a title. If we look up here, we've got our little div. So let's take this whole div, this column, large 12. There's the closing tag. Let's grab all of it. Control C. Go back down to where our team starts. And above the row, but inside the container, let's put our title. So after the container, I'm going to drop down and paste what I've just taken from above there. And we're going to call this, our great team. And then you can have a little tagline underneath. I don't want very much. Obviously this is nonsense text. You'll want to put in something that makes sense to you. Okay, let's have a look at that. Control S to save. Let's just tidy this up. I've got a gap at the bottom there. Trying to do this quickly, but it's not always a good idea to keep the code fairly tidy. Control S to save. Now let's take a look. There we go. Well, we've got that. I kind of like that. That's all right. But I need a bit more space between that and our actual images there. So we can use another little Bootstrap inbuilt short code of padding bottom, which is just PB dash, and it goes from 1 to 5, 1 being the smallest amount, 5 being the largest, and I think it's measured in M's, which is dependent on the size of your smallest text, your paragraph text. So PB padding bottom dash 5, that should give us some space between those two now. Between this, should have padding between that and where our images start for our people. Control S to save. Refresh. There we go. Might even be a bit too much, but I'm just going to leave it at that. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's move on down. Now this services section, I think we had a pricing table, didn't we? Oh, that reminds me, we want to, before we move on to that, let's go back to the site. How to put your own people in here rather than these generic people that they've got in there. Let's look at our brackets. And here's our team section. If we look at their image sources again they're taking them from Unsplash. But if we scroll across, we can see they're 500 by 350. So you don't have to use the same size, but for convenience, I've used the same size. So we just need to replace it with another image that's similar dimensions there. And I've got one here somewhere. So what I'm going to do, I've got a little image here. It's a JPEG and it's the same dimensions. It's called Team 1 and it's 500 by 350. So I'll just put this in this first one here, and again, source equals, after that first inverted comma, don't chop off those inverted commas, they want to stay there. Just put the name of your image. It's found it already, Team 1, and again it's just in the root folder where all our files were. Save that. Well, let's give them a name, shall we? Call it Jane Smith. Tend to use her quite a lot for some reason, and we'll say SEO expert, whatever it is. Control S, back to the site and refresh. Now this chap should now be our Jane Smith over here. There we go. There we are. So that's how to put your own images in there. Now down to the services section where we decide we're going to make this into a price list, or the duplicate services section. So let's go back to our Start Bootstrap site and steal a little bit more code. Let's go back to that page we were on. And let's just steal these pricing lists right here. Click on those. Let's see what we've got. Got some HTML. Got some CSS. No JavaScript. That's fine. So let's see what we need. We've got a whole container. We've got a whole section. That's fine. Let's just grab the whole section. Back to our brackets. And here is our, well, we called it price already. Well, just got to replace our whole section from the opening section to the closing section. Boom, there it is. Now I've noticed they got some font awesomes in there. We may have to do something about that. We'll see in a moment. But save that and go back. We've got a bit of CSS we need to copy over. Here we go. Back to our brackets. Let's go back into our CSS file, the scrolling CSS file. Down underneath, let's give it a title, I guess, because we may want, if we expand this site, it gets more difficult the more code you write to find things. So // inside, we'll give it a title. That forward slash star star forward slash, all that does is comment that out so it doesn't get read as code. And paste in what we just copied, the CSS we just copied. Let's have a look, see what we got. Save that, Control S, back to the site, back to our site, and refresh. Bingo, there are our pricing tables. That's fine. Don't see anything that I really want to add to this. It said it used font awesome. Let's just look. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything there that... Oh, I see there's the font awesome check marks probably and X marks there. What we got on our site? Oh, okay, they're blank. They're just list items, looks like, which is fine. We'll go into adding font awesome at another time, but let's just get this site finished. So, okay, those pricing tables are okay, but again, let's put a title in there above it, like our fantastic prices or something like that. So let's go back to the site, back to our HTML, and let's just steal the one we had up here above our team. Grab that whole little section there. We'll take it down. Here's our container, and there's our row with our prices in there. And just paste that in there. And our prices, our pricing. I don't really want much in there. Save that. Okay, another little bit of code we're going to want to put in here. I'll show you why. Control S. Now that looks okay, but I kind of like that to be light colored text, like white text or something. Very easy. Let's put in that bit of code, bit of Bootstrap 4 code. Text center, PB5. Say text light, and that'll change that text to a light color. Control S, back to the site. Yeah, that's better. Great. Now to edit this, I won't go through it much. It's pretty obvious. I'll just show you a couple of little things right here. Here is each of the cards. Now you just go in and edit like any other thing. If you don't want something, take it out. Just select from the opening tag to the closing tag to remove something. Here's the button. And if we want it to go somewhere, you can either put in a URL of a website, or let's make this go back up to our about section, or let's make it go back up to the team section. Okay, so we've got on our team section, we've got an ID of team. ID equals team. So if you want to go to an ID URL, it's always hashtag, and they've already got a hashtag in there, it looks like. Yep, hashtag. So all we have to do is hashtag team. Control S to save. And I'll change that button text to say team. Obviously put in exactly what you want. Control S. Now this button should say team when I refresh. There it is. And when we click on it, it should take us back up to our team. There we go. Now if you want to take them to an external URL, well, let's just take them to this one right here. Start Bootstrap, just copy the URL. Now what I'm going to do here is, where was that one? Right there. Again, we do it in between the inverted commas there. Just put that URL in there. But I want them I don't want them moving away from the site. I want it to open in a new tab. So that'll take them to that URL, but it'll close our site. So let's just say after the inverted comma, do a space and then write target, T-A-R-G-E-T. It's prompted us. And it's underscore blank. So it's target equals inverted comma underscore blank close inverted comma. That way that will open in a new tab. So let's just save that. Back to our site, wherever it is. Here it is. Now this time when I click on that team, it should open a new tab and take us to whatever that URL was. I think it was that one over there. There we go. It's taken us there, but our site is still open, so it hasn't closed the site, which is most of the time my preferred method. Okay, contact us again. I think what I'll do is do something similar to what we did with this. So I've got contact us, blah blah blah, phone, email, blah 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 blah. Let's do that, and then we're almost done with this site. So here's our contact section. Again, it's column of 8, so I'm going to make that a 6 again, and I'm actually after it. I'm going to just copy it, Control C to copy. And I'll get rid of most of this in a minute. I'm going to go and steal that list we had up here, or some of it at least. So unordered list. Just going to tab that over a little bit. Unordered list, and we'll just grab the whole thing, I guess. Control C. Back down to where we were. I'm going to get rid of everything in there, the H2 and the paragraph. And Shift Tab, just bring it back in line. So we'll say phone. Fax. Remember, don't cut off any of those tags there. And email. And address, I guess. I can't think of anything else at the moment, so we'll lose those. Okay, let's save that and see what we've got. Control S. Okay, something didn't work out right there. Let's have a look. Oh, I've got to put the 6 on there. Contact large 6, 6. There we are. That should split those two, hopefully. There we go. That's fine. It's okay, but we'll drop that list down a little bit. And we can do that with that little short code we used before, which was we used padding bottom, PB, before. Let's use padding top this time. Padding top -5. There we go. Let's drop that down nicely. And to make this all stand out, I kind of like to have a dark background and have the writing as light colored. So let's do that. Now this section ID is called contact. So let's go to our scrolling nav and actually write a bit of CSS this time. Again, I'll give it a title, / ***. Now, that section was called ID of contact. IDs always have a hashtag, not a dot. Classes have a dot, so it's hashtag, and that's not a hashtag. Hashtag contact. Open and close some curly brackets, and I'll give it a background color. Background of 222, which is a dark grey, almost black but not quite black. Save that. Now I'll show you the site won't be able to see our text though, because the text is black. I should have changed this background to a black background, or a dark grey background. Okay, great, and our text is actually still there, you just can't see it. So let's go back, and I'm sure you remember how to make that light. We'll just go into the row or the container, doesn't really matter, and give it the class of text light. Control S to save, back to the site. There we have it. Now that's standing out nicely. And the only other thing, you want to copyright your website name there, or my website, whatever you call yours. Save that. Now that's pretty much finished. The only thing we really need to do, if I click on the logo, it should go back up to the top. The only thing we really need to do now is we've got to add we've added a couple of sections, and we want to make these go to those appropriate sections. The about works fine and the services, but we want to go to the team section and the pricing section, and the contact will go down to the contact, or as far as it can go. So let's just fix that and we're done. So let's go back up to the nav section. Here's our nav section, navigation. There's our about section. There's our services section. There's our contact section. So we just needed to copy 2 of these over. If you look, click on the open list item, there's one. There's another one. So let's copy those 2 over. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. I'll just tidy that one up there. Now we just need to change the name, obviously, which was the first one was team, wasn't it? And second one was prices, or pricing, I don't know. Pricing, prices. Now to make them go to where we want them to go, href, the link, we need the name of the section ID, and I'm pretty sure the team was team. I better look. I'm not sure if the pricing was services. There's team ID team, so that's fine. Hashtag team. Pricing. So I'm gonna just copy that. Be the easiest way. Actually, this has no ID, so that won't work. So I've got to add an ID. So just before the class there, I'm going to say ID equals, open some inverted commas, and I'll say price. Keep it simple. Close the inverted commas, space. There we are. So now this section has got an ID of price, so we can make the menu go down to it. Hashtag price, hashtag ID. So let's go back up to the top. Pricing, that was hashtag price. Control S to save. Back to the site. Let's get back up to the top. Okay, when I refresh, we should now have those extra items up there. There we go. Let's see if they're going to work. So about, fine. Services, fine. Team, great. Pricing, fantastic. Contact, can't go all the way up because that's the bottom of the site there. Let's go back up to the top. So there you have it, guys. There's how to put together a Bootstrap 4 website in about 45 minutes. It's really pretty simple. I will do more on this. We'll add some font awesomes and some buttons perhaps to take you places and some different types of sections. So do stay tuned. If you're interested, have a look down below. We've got some great premium WordPress and Bootstrap courses for anybody interested in web development. We go into a lot more detail, so check them out. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 on webdesignandtechtips.com. I hope you found that useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.